Breaking news, baby dolls. So the yield farms for HEX on Ethereum have both ended suddenly. I'm going to bring up the yield farm here. And if you've noticed, you can go to the finished section and you can see they've been removed. So HEX from Ethereum with Pulse, and then HEX from Ethereum, and now the pHEX. So eHEX and pHEX is gone, and the other one as well. And everybody wants answers. I hope we get them soon, but I can only speculate why, and it seems pretty obvious to me. So here is my guess, okay? There were just too many people who were emergency ending their stake. I have one that I can show you very quickly, and here it is just from yesterday. So this person, right, let's just zoom in. They ended a huge stake. Well, pretty huge, right? So they had a 2.3 million HEX stake, and it's for 6 years. And they were only 15 days in. But everyone was wondering, why would you do this? And then I explain here, it's because they calculated, they had a 6-year stake here. He lost 50% of his stack. And you're wondering, oh, that's bad. But no, the eHEX and pHEX farm was giving 400% APR. So here I calculated for you. He needed just 50 days to be break even. So he was hoping this farm would be around 50 days here, and then he'd be break even. And worst case, right? So I said, hey, if the APR dropped to 40%, he would only need 75 weeks. So 1.5 years he'd be break even, and then everything after that would be more yield. Okay, and unfortunately it did not pay off. So this person just ended a 6-year stake. That's why, friends, just look, crypto is very risky, volatile. There's a lot of things going on. You got to be careful. All right, you have to be careful. Not all these risks pay off. Okay, so that's why I said these farms, this was not the intended actions. So HEX was all about delaying gratification, doing long-term stuff, and then this carrot was just too yummy. Sweet carrot. It was so ripe, so orange, so fresh. Okay, and unfortunately, now we got to see what happens. Everybody just moved to the yummy carrot. So what do you do now? Because I'm in the eHEX and pHEX farm too. What do we do? Well, number one, do nothing. That's what you normally do. Just do nothing and chill out. That's 99% of the time. Absolutely do nothing. There is not an impending doom. We have to move somewhere, okay? But I'm going to go with you and show you that why we can't. So if you have pHEX and eHEX, you might be saying, hey, can I just go join the other farms? There's a problem here. Okay, so we can have a look at the other farms. So the first thing you might say is, oh, can I go to the pHEX and Pulse farm with my money? Here is the problem. Okay, you don't know if that farm's going to drop yield tomorrow. Okay, that's a problem. And why is that important? It's because of the eHEX part. Okay, so eHEX right now is too cheap to rotate into pHEX. Let me show you now. Let me show you the eHEX to pHEX ratio. Look at this. Below parity, it's too much. It's down 17%. So if you're in the farm, you've been in this for a day or a week, okay, so now we're down like 18% on one leg, and you've got some impermanent loss as well, so you're down like 20%. So that might be okay if you rotated all of it out. If you sold into that, that might be okay, but here is the issue, okay? With your eHEX and pHEX, all right? I want you to know that that's 400 divided by 365. So here's the thing. This is the risky part, friends. Okay, you're earning 1% a day. So you need 20 days to make back your loss. 20 days if you sell right now. Let's say it's, around 20 to 24 days if it stays at this rate. So if what I'm assumed you've done is, by the way, do not do this. I'm just done the maths here for you, okay? So you have eHEX and pHEX. You pull the liquidity. You sell your eHEX, and then you rotate that to pHEX, to Pulse. So now you will have a spread of pHEX and Pulse, okay, from your original farm, and you put it in here. But that's 20. You need 21 days to make it back. I don't know if that's going to happen like that. What if the yield farm drops? Okay, that's the problem. Okay, what if this APR drops to 100% tomorrow? Okay, now you don't need 20 days. You need 80 days. Okay, now you need 80 days. Do you see the problem? This is now we're starting to, now you really need everything to go your way. What if it drops down again to 40%? All right, now you don't need 80 days. Now you need 160 days to be break even. Do you understand the problem? 100. So if you make an irrational, fast decision right now, you could cost yourself 160 days. You are now forced to sit here 160 days just to be break even if it goes down to that 40% APR. All right. That's the issue here. If you make any fast move, because you're going to take the impermanent loss and you're selling eHEX at the low. Okay. So this is eHEX, pHEX. So if you were to rotate your eHEX to pHEX, that's effectively what you'll be doing. You'll be selling it at 0.82, right? That's the unfortunate part, okay? Now, I've got my tweety tweets here for you to continue, all right? The other issue, what if you join the other farm, right? So eHEX is also too cheap to rotate into PLS. So you think, okay, is HEX altogether cheap or expensive against Pulse? Well, lucky for you, I have the ratio here for you, and I've gone here. You have to click on this button, okay? Switch to WPLS so you can see, okay? Now, it's not that bad. It's not that bad, okay? So this is actually kind of in middle, right? So this is HEX to Pulse. So if you go down here, this is the problem, okay? Because this is pHEX to Pulse, okay? And remember, eHEX is 20% lower. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to show you 20% lower where you actually are. Here we go. Bang. All right. Look at this number. You're down at 88. Okay. So this is why you like subscribe button, or I do all the hard work for you. So this is actually where, so we have a big fat red candle effectively on that. Okay. That's exactly where we are right now. You know, if you sit here, I might be able to find an eHEX to PLS, HEX from Ethereum to PLS quickly. And you know what, darlings? I've brought it out right here. Now you can see this is eHEX to Pulse. So look how low this is, man. This is like, right? So you might say, wow, what do I do? Do I sell? I'm not going to sell anything. Look, this is too low. This is just too low. I'm not touching. Don't worry about these yields. Forget about these yields. I'm going to bring this up in front of your face, okay? This is an adult temptress with a wig on, lipstick, nightclub, dancing, okay? These are the sins. This is somebody putting illicit substances in front of your face. This is dangling the carrot in front of you, okay? This is temptation. How everybody gets wrecked in yield farms is they look at these numbers, and what they do is, see this calculator? They go, ooh, wow, if I hold this in 1 year, right? So if you just, let's say you had $20,000 in here, you go, wow, oh my God. In 1 year, I'll have a $1.1 million. See that? Wow. No, doesn't work like that. These yields are only like 14-day things, and then 7-day, and then 3-day, and then 1 day, and they go down to like 10%. Okay? This is all fake. It's like, oh my God, if it's even 5 years, I got $14 million off $2,000. No, these are all traps. All of them are traps. You can't even click the 1 year. Believe it or not, you can't even click 30 days. Okay? You know, the only thing I look at, 24 hours. I promise you. That's the only thing. And guess what? I halve my expectation from the current price. So see this number? So if you had $20,000, what would you get out of this? $225. In my mind, I'm mentally prepared for $100. That's it. I'm like, oh, anything above $100, I'm happy. I'm actually happy. Okay. This is actually the reality of the situation. So with your eHEX and PLS, so because I'm in it too, right? I'm like, hey, what do you do? Well, it's too cheap. It's just too cheap, okay? I don't want to sell down here. If you have, this is just me. You can do what you want. You can consult financial advisor. He'll probably be like, what the hell are you talking about, mate? Come on here to bricks and mortar real estate, okay? So when you're looking at this is too low, all right? I don't want to be selling anything that's down this low. What would even be a fair price for it? I can't guess, but I'm just thinking, I mean, like, you're down 50% from here. By the way, to regain this, you got to go 100%. Okay, baby dolls, this is disgusting. So this is your risk, okay? I'm going to draw a line up here. If you just be careful here. I'm just going to draw a box here, okay? If eHEX faith restores, do you remember this example I just used with these yield farms? I just calculated, if you sell the bottom, so if you sell your eHEX right now and you move to this farm, if you sold your eHEX for pHEX, and then you staked it, you can't win, okay? Because pHEX short-term staking is only 9% per year, and you are down 20%, all right? So that doesn't work. So what if you sold your eHEX to the Pulse? Because then you'll have two sides, right? And I just showed you, unfortunately, on this chart, that's also a bit of a poopy move. Not even poopy, don't do it, right? I'm not doing it. Because here's the thing. If you get it wrong and that yield keeps dropping, then, okay, best case, you get to break even in 20 days, okay? So I want to write this down for you, okay? So why I have to write this down so you say why I won't sell eHEX at all. Okay, so 1, I won't sell into PLS because in this farm I need A, best case equals 20 days to break even. B, if yields drop, can become 40 to 80 days to break even. This to me is too risky. I mean, there's uncertainty, man. Like, what if Greg just pulls that farm as well? You got no idea. Okay, this is the unfortunate part. This is what happens in crypto. Okay, so no one's taking a loss or anything. Just chill out. Everybody just chill out. Okay. Now, this is why I'm not going to touch anything, because 20 to 80 days. Think about this. I just want you to think about what happens if you make an irrational decision out of fear right now. If you sell your eHEX knowing it's down this low, I want you to think about what would you be feeling if in 60 days from now, in 2 months, this has recovered back to here, okay? What would you be feeling if it actually came back there? You would feel absolutely frustrated. You'd feel like you're disgusted in yourself, okay? So that's why personally, I am not making any irrational decision, okay? This is just me. You can do what you want, all right? So here we go. eHEX, as I mentioned here, it's just too cheap, and it's been weakened to do anything now. It hurts, but man, it's weak. It's cheap, okay? It's cheap. You can't think, I want to get out. You can't, man. You can't be on the same side of the weak hands. The weak hands are duty heads. The weak hands said they're staking for 5 years, and they emergency ended it after 15 days, and now they've dropped it, okay? So as a speculation, to have some fun, what would I do, right? Just to let you know, some type of thinking, all right? What would I do? So I would actually add back the farms, but BUTTT and a third T, all right? Look at this. I would add back the farms, but I would give a yield of 25%, okay? 25 to 40%. Maybe 40% is okay, but you drop it off slowly. Why? Okay, here we go. So 25% is just enough to compensate impermanent loss, but also still makes it worth the T-share preservation. So that's the HEX staking for stakes in the 3rd year and higher. That's what I would personally do, okay? I would personally do that. So for this run, basically this would, everybody who's staked like 2 years, 3 years plus, they should leave it, all right? Because they're going to be getting all the dividend yields. They're going to be getting like probably like, 12, 13, 15 to 18%. It's not worth them ending their stake, paying a 25 to 30% penalty just to do this. Because if you give them 25% yield, what happens, baby dolls? They need to spend a full year to get break even. That's what I would do, okay? This is just personally me, okay? So I would look towards something like this. I'm not a duck though. He's probably figuring it out right now. But I just want you to know, don't panic or anything. This is when I see this is like, hey, people aren't doing what I thought they should do. So I'm just gonna pull the farm right now. And he's got the crayons out on the wall, and he's probably figuring out, okay, what yield should I kind of give people? Not to damage themselves long term, but also to just provide the service we want. He's trying to find that sweet spot. So effectively, what we basically, in a short number, 400% is too high. That's basically what he's saying. Because people were willing to take a penalty, but then stake it and make it back in 15 days. Okay, so what would be an appropriate one? Well, I just gave you that number. What would be the number where me and you are like, I can't be bothered sitting break even or at a loss for this amount of days? To me, it would be like 6 months, right? 6 months towards a year. Like if you say to me, hey, it's mathematically viable for you to damage yourself, but then you got to stay in a yield farm and then you'll break even after 6 months to a year. I'm like, nah, man, I don't want to be at a loss for 6 to 12 months. That's how I feel. I hope the average person out there, the average baby doll cookie cake, thinks like that too, because then we'd actually have a decent yield to participate in that. So that's something to think about, okay? That doesn't mean anything's gone like super wrong. It's just that we're trying to figure out what are these numbers here. We're dealing with people and behavior and patterns, okay? So just a friendly reminder, the HEX short-term yield is 9%. So where are we going to sit this at? That's the final answer that we're not going to know until hopefully very, very soon. So I'm just letting you know, this is what I'm doing. Everyone's come to me for guidance. I don't have the answer, okay? Yes, this chart looks absolutely kabooshed. But now you can see what happens, man. You put the incentives in the wrong place, people do this. I'm curious, what the hell are people thinking? Like, the yields were great. You should be buying eHEX and staking. What the hell are people doing? There are some, I don't know what word to call them. These people don't know what they're doing. I mean, you're probably wondering with me, why is this price going down when everything's cheap? Like, what were they doing? And if you go back to the yield farms, it's possible. Okay, this is one thing. Okay, it's possible people were just buying pHEX. So what they were doing was they'd probably sell their eHEX and go buy Pulse or something. Or I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what's going through their minds to do this. But hey, this is markets, okay? You're going to see a lot of poopy heads. Oh, there's so many dingleberries out there. You won't believe. Give people a red candle, they'll sell the bottom of it. The tippy to toppity bottom, okay? So this is a very dangerous place for sellers, okay? It is so dangerous, it's not funny. Like, I'm telling you right now, you can wake up tomorrow and there's some new plan for eHEX and it's just double, all right? So this is something to think about. Remember, I've gone through the plan here. It's not viable to just say, hey, I'm going to go risk it and change the APRs because, hey, man, what if this 400% drops as well? Okay. What if this 400% drops down to 40%? Now you're thinking, oh, crap. Now you'd actually need, as I said before, 160 to 180 days to make it back to break even. That's to cover your loss if you sell it down here. Okay. So we're going to see and we're going to wait from Richard Hart's Twitter. And this ratio is still kaboot. It's still kaboot. I believe over time it's going to come back. Remember, this people lose their minds. This little, parts of the ecosystem, and they see red candles and go nuts. This is the pHEX pulse. This is the pHEX pulse ratio. You can see now nothing's deviated too much. It's just that eHEX is sliding. Okay, eHEX is sliding. I do believe it's going to come back. We're just going to have to wait. I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to take. All I know is something ain't right. And because you're all darlings, I'm just reading my comments from my tweet here, friends. And I really appreciate everybody who comes in, joins, shares thoughts. It's really great, Don't feel ashamed. Like, even if you think you're wrong, you don't know what you're talking about, just throw some comments out there. I want to feel what everybody's thinking and how everybody's observing it, okay? So, obviously, Hexagon P, shout out to Hexagon P, right? Staking his liquid eHEX to 2025 and longer. I'm telling you right now, this person's going to absolutely milk it. Look at this stress everybody's going day to day. But look at this, okay? So, by the way, I like everybody's comment just for existing. Thank you for existing as a human. So, look at this. I sold from Monster. I sold my eHEX and pHEX for bridged wrapped Bitcoin and paired it with Pulse. So, this is wrong. I'm sorry, sir. I'm just going to have to give you. You are a baby doll. I'm just going to give you a tiny little X because I just don't want to upset you. Okay, let's go have a look at the yield farm. So what he said he's done is, he is in this farm. Okay, so you see wrapped Bitcoin and Pulse. So this is what I want you to get to the mindset of it. What they've done is they've gone, well, if you do 1,100% divided by 365, you're earning 3% a day. But here's the problem, friends. Okay, you have one issue here, okay, that this person has not computed. So this is what everybody gets wrong, okay. He sold his eHEX and his pHEX, okay. So I want you to please recall, all right, recall that you're a baby doll, baby cake. I want you to recall eHEX is dirt cheap. eHEX USD is dirt cheap. So this is the interesting dilemma. He sold down here, okay, look at this. He is already at a loss when eHEX is the 3.7 cents. So you're looking at this chart thinking, oh, that's quite some distance. No. Let's look at the real chart, okay? Look how low this thing is. Like, do you know how easy it is for one weekly candle to just put it? Look at this. This is 300%. This is back to 5 cents. You think someone can't smack this up? Of course they can. So there's your problem. So you've sold something significantly undervalued to go yield farm to try to make 3% per day. So this is the game, okay? So this is why it's a race against time. So this person's making, so Morning Boo is making 3% per day. If the yield stays this way, I'm being conservative, 3% per day, okay? Here's the problem. You are assuming that the price is going to stay here for 33 days for you to use your wrapped Bitcoin and your Pulse yield farms to use your incentive tokens, you're trying to replace them. So if you said to me, hey, what would I do if you didn't know what's going to happen in the future, but what would I do if you threw me into this situation, which I don't ever recommend it. But what you have to do is every single 12 hours, you have to harvest your yield farms and rotate it to your eHEX and pHEX. You've got to replenish that inventory immediately. That's the whole game. But it's 33 days. I want you to know, man, like Pulse Chain's been up for like 13 days. We didn't even have a chain 13 days ago. Then we had eHEX and pHEX farms come out in the middle of it. Now they're gone. Look how fast everything's moving in 4 days. What's going to happen in 33 days, right? So you better pray that the market's not going up in 33 days. Do you think they're going to leave eHEX down at the bottom? It could double, man. Then you've lost. Actually, that's the sad part. If eHEX doubles, you actually lost your position, okay? Because you've sold the bottom and now you can only rebuy half. Okay, you can't even get back your position at all if it doubles. So because obviously you're relying on Pulse. Well, Pulse might go up, but your wrapped Bitcoin isn't. So now you're gonna have impermanent loss from this yield farm, and you're carrying half your money in Bitcoin. So you've lost quite a bit if this happens. See, no one thinks about this scenario, but hey, you're listening to me, we get to go through it. So also we have Jamie Lau. He's kept his eHEX staking. He's left that to the side. He swapped his pHEX into half pulse X. So he's gone and done the top farm to do that. So yeah, that's okay to do. Just the problem is, right, HEX is so freaking cheap. Once these things start turning around, it's going to be a rocket. But no one believes in it because it's a contrarian play. But that's okay. That's what happens, okay? And now we can also see, so yeah, it was my first and last time messing with this poop. I was starting to enjoy it. So Big V, like, yes, these farms will probably come back. They just won't be 400%. They'll just, like, I just told you that the real number should be like 20%, 25. Should be just higher than short-term staking. So basically what Richard will be doing is bribing you. It's like, hey, we need a service done, but we don't want to give you too much money because you'll probably, if you're going to stake short-term 9%, you want to be enticed to take on more risk. How about I give you 20% or 30%, or it starts 40% and then it drops. That's enough, you know, because it was giving 250% to 350%. It was giving, 5x. That's enormous rewards, okay? Also, Stevie asking, this sucks. How do these farms get ended? Who controls that? Okay, so Stevie, yes, look, centralization control is the only way we're going to make it, all right? If there was a panel of like 15 people, they would have got the wrong answer at the wrong time. They don't know what they're doing, okay? This is just part of the process, all right? I'm just telling you, okay? The geniuses of this world, the entrepreneurs, how they're different to me and you is they can try 10 things. When one thing starts working, they can run with it. And then when one thing stops working immediately, they know what to shift to. So we've now watched one of these tweaks. I know it's very scary. You know why? Because for me and you, our brains, I've got a peanut brain. I don't know about you. Maybe you have a normal sized brain. But I have a peanut brain. So it's scary, the thought of like, oh, wow, there's going to be like 15 things that go wrong every year. What if they make the wrong decision? Well, that's life, man. What if a comet comes and hits us? Literally, there's no other way to get around this. This is, if you want the sick gains, this is what you want. If you want autonomous, religious, Bitcoin type of gains, you go with Bitcoin. But you ain't going to get your 30 to 50x if it's an asymmetric win. You're going to get your nice little 2x. You know what I mean? That's an important point. Also, straight back Baby Doll asking as well, how do we see the fees? Yeah, we can't see that yet. They are in other DeFi yield farms for Ethereum. So the fees, you're going to have to you can calculate it on chain, but I don't even know how to. You're going to have to look at the specific numbers. You're going to have to guess what your percentage was at each day, and then you have to see the fees that went in. To be honest, it's not really worth it at all. It's short term. It's honestly best to just go like, hey, all right, we're leaving this for 6 or 12 months. That's the best way to look at it. And yes, Baby Doll's last comment. So from Dolce, look at Dolce. Man, this news sucks. I know, friend, okay? But hey, it might be back with lower yield. Look, am I the only one that went out and bought eHEX and then HEX the farm? You did the right thing, my friend. So did I. It's too cheap. It's too cheap. You know what I like? Dolce is basically, he's telling me information because Dolce is saying, hey, was I the only idiot who bought this? Like, no, that means we're on the right side, okay? Because the crowd, what do they do? The crowd wants pulsex. The crowd wants pulse, okay? The crowd wants pHEX. All these. What do we want? eHEX, okay? We are contrarian at this point, okay? Just means we are the of what everyone thinks. It's just, it's overvalued. No one really wants it. Everyone's puking it. It's funny. It's even within the Richard Heart ecosystem, there's a thing that nobody wants. Okay, so we're going to see what happens, baby dolls, and I'll update you as it comes. For now, just to clarify, I'm not doing anything. We're going to have to refresh these farms. Maybe they come back with lower yield. Maybe something else happens. But for now, I'm just leaving it just because eHEX, to me, too cheap. Catch you in the next one.